Good morning, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. A few years ago, I was working for a guy as an equine vet tech on the racetracks in Florida. We were taking care of horses in 3 different racehorse barns. We had over 400 horses that we were looking after for the season. These horses were standard breds. They were trotters that pull the 2-wheeled sulkies, and not as high strung and jacked up and as a thoroughbred would be, but still racehorses, still in that genre. And I was out one day on the backside of somewhere, and somebody let one of them colts get out, and they're overfed. Too much alfalfa, too much grain, in my opinion. They're not worked enough. And so, man, when they escape, they're just, they're going, whoopee. They're not easy to catch sometimes. And we were in a part of Ocala out there. So there were highways and there were not fences all the way around this ranch. And so when one of them horses got loose, it would be all hands on deck. And there were half a dozen people grabbed halters and took off after that horse. And I picked up a halter and everybody took off running. And I watched that horse, his head's up and his tail's up in the air, and he's just moving around and his eyes are wide and he's blowing and everybody's all energied up and they're after him. And I see which way he's coming around, so I just calmly walk out in the field where he's at. And he comes about halfway across that field and he sees me and he stops. And so I'm just walking calmly. So I just stop and I just take 2 steps back. I just back up and just stand there and look at him. And he looked at me for a second and he put his head down, walked the rest of the way across that pasture, and walked up to me. And I calmly just caught him and never a word, and it was all good. I have found over the years that anytime things are getting a little bit out of hand with horses, probably the first thing you need to do is whatever it is you're doing, you need to stop. And you just need to take a step back. I posted a post on Instagram, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago. If you're driving your truck on ice and your tires break traction, take your foot off the gas. Now, after several years in Alaska and driving in Wyoming and all over the place, what people get in trouble from on ice is when they start sliding, they start slipping, they hit that gas. Or even worse, they hit the brakes. When what you need to do is you need to let off the gas, as long as the situation allows it. Let off the gas, let off the brakes, and just let things run their natural course. And all of the pressure that's being exerted on the situation is just making the situation worse. So just let off, back up and chill and get things back under control. Now there's a movement today in this circle of men's, bit of breeze out there. I had cracked the door and it's blowing open, and I think we'll be all right. I don't think it's too disturbing. In this circle of wisdom and men's betterment and helping young men and whatnot. And I've watched it, and it's gotten to the point that I don't agree with it. I think it's creating, in some situations, more problems than it's solving. And that's this hustle culture. If things aren't going the way they should be going, you need to hit it harder. You need to spend more time. You can sleep when you're dead. You know, you've got this and you need to be working out, or you need to be making sales calls, or you need to be slamming and going, and you need to be, and a lot of guys, they're in life, your wheels have broken traction and you're just spinning and you got somebody on the sideline yelling at you, go harder, go harder. Well, that's wrong. All right. You've got a young wild horse, metaphorically speaking, that is broken loose in your life, and everybody has snatched up halters and they're running after it as hard as they can. And they're just saying, go harder, go harder, go harder. And it's wrong. It's not wise. It's not wise. All right. I mean, if you stop some of the stuff, if you'll actually just stop and think about it, it's just positively ludicrous. Okay. But everybody needs to make a mark. All these guys, they need to make a mark. So they need to come up with something the others don't have. And they're like, look, we've got this. We have this new insight. We've got this. This is my deal. And I have the answer for you. So if you want to make a lot of money, what you got to do is you got to have 6-pack abs, or I'm going to fire you. I'm going to kick you out. How many of the smartest men on this planet, how many of the richest men on this planet have 6-pack abs? It has nothing to do with the equation. It has nothing to do with it. Now, there is something to be said for not being lazy. Something to be said to help those who are just can't drag themselves up out of the swamp. All right, I understand that, but we have to be balanced. And listen, the answer is not always go harder. Going hard might be what caused you to lose traction in the first place. A lot of times, too much speed on ice, too much speed in the course of a change of direction, that's what will cause you to spin out. Sometimes the answer is take a step back, take your foot off the gas. Take your foot off the brake. Stop in the pasture and take a step back away from that horse that's running from everybody who's saying, go harder, go harder, go harder. And they're running away from it. And sometimes the things that is eluding you in life are eluding you in life because you go harder. Because you're saying, go harder. That's the answer. That's what I need to do. I need to run harder. I need to hustle. I need to hustle. I need to hustle. Well, sometimes it's like fishing. Sometimes it's like fishing. The more you get out there and splash around and move and create chaos, the less fish you're going to catch. The thing about hunting is you get up in that tree stand, or you get in that blind, or you get in that thicket and you be still and you be quiet. There's a time for spotting and stalking, but there's also a time for just being still and for glassing and for figuring things out. And so I just want to encourage you fellas today who are out there killing yourself because some wannabe on the internet has come up with a new thing and says, look, not only do you have to learn this, and not only do you have to make a living, and not only do you have to take care of the family that you already have, and not only do you have to pay off your credit cards and pay off your deals and pay off your car, but dang it, you got to get a 6-pack ab too, or otherwise you're a complete, absolute failure in life. Set that stuff down and walk away. Walk away. Take your foot off the gas. Now, there's a time to put your foot on the gas. But I guess that's what wisdom is, isn't it? Wisdom is knowing when to speed up. Wisdom is knowing when to slow down. Wisdom is knowing when to get out there and lay a hold on something and get a job done. Wisdom is knowing when to stop and sit down and have a cup of coffee and a cigar and to think and to contemplate. I've said this before. Abraham Lincoln said if he was given 4 hours to chop down a tree with an axe, he'd spend 3 of those hours sharpening the axe. Well, if you're in running all the time, next thing, until you get 6 hours sleep and the rest of the time your feet hit the floor, you're going, when are you sharpening your axe? When are you stopping and sitting down and looking down the road and seeing which way that road goes and seeing where it might end up? There's no one answer for everything. And I hate to see these guys that are charging you money so they can kill you. These men are not wise. They might be wealthy and they might have 6-pack abs, but they don't walk in your shoes and they are not wise. Hustling is not always the answer. And wisdom is knowing the difference. If I have a choice of whether you are going to be successful by this world's standards or you are going to be at peace and wise, I'd rather you be at peace and wise. All right? So I just want to encourage you this morning. I had a young man come up to me in Texas 3 or 4 weeks ago when I was down there. He recognized me and he asked me, he said, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm just so, can you give me any advice? I said, how old are you? I think he said he was 23 or 24. I said, do you have a job? He said, yes, I have a job. And I said, you're working? He said, yes. Are you learning? He said, yeah. I said, my advice to you is just chill. You'll never be 24 again. You will never be 24 again. Work your job. Be a responsible adult. Learn, grow, and mature. But chill. Chill. All right? You need to start asking yourself in life when things come up, is this wise? Is this wise? Not is it smart, because what is smart is not always what is wise. Wisdom is what you do with what is smart. All right? So, I don't know. I don't know about this hustle business. Take your foot off the gas. Take a step back away from that runaway coal and see if maybe you don't get a little further, a little faster, with a little less anxiety. Might work out better for you. All right? Hope you guys have a good day, and we'll catch you next time.